With each topic, Arlo, or really like any video, any project, I'll give each one like a little like a really simple 2 or 3 word like kind of, I don't know, like code, like a working title, so that when I'm working with Kane or whoever, you know, I've just got this like quick, like easy name to remember. And when I was naming this one, I was like, Diddy Redesign. Yes, he did. And now Diddy Kong looks different. And so now for the video, Diddy Kong, you know, DK got a pretty, I mean, I want to call it major. I guess you could say it is major. What's so funny, what's so fascinating about the DK redesign is it is kind of subtle. The individual elements have not changed that much. It's like mostly his eyebrow, and yet he gives like a totally different vibe now. I don't know, I feel like I need to do a more major video kind of talking about how DK has been changed. But it seems that Diddy Kong has also been redesigned. It is not as major of a redesign, but it's a thing. What you're looking at right here is a mock-up from Nintendo Life, and it's really funny. They seem to have taken like basically the same exact pose as the other like main Diddy model, and just kind of redid that. They thought like, that's it. No, like that exact pose, like that is Diddy Kong. We don't need to change the positioning. We just gotta like redo it in a slightly different style. And so now we are going to meticulously examine this monkey from head to toe. We're gonna look at all the changes here. Why? Because that is somehow my job. Life is funny. And you know, it's also because you're here. It's because you're watching. I'm a determinist, you know, like, it doesn't make sense. Why are things this way? They're this way because they had to be this way. Otherwise, they would not be this way. That's why I'm doing this video. I have to. Hate to break it to you, everybody, but free will is an illusion. So let's start with his hat. Okay, so the Nintendo logo has been removed and replaced with a little DK pin, which is interesting. I mean, you know, it was always kind of weird. I mean, fun, weird in a good way that Diddy's hat just had the Nintendo logo on it. You know, I mean, DK is no stranger to little like self-referential kind of third wall breaking stuff, mainly like Donkey Kong Country, you know, all the Cranky Kong stuff. So it was interesting that he had the Nintendo logo on his hat, but I suppose I don't know, it makes sense. It makes sense to get rid of that and have it be all, you know, in world, in universe. Makes sense. So he's just got a little DK pin. See, but then that's funny in its own way, because he's replaced the Nintendo branding with Donkey Kong, like the IP branding, you know, like it's his uncle, right? Is he his uncle? Is DK Diddy's uncle? I should know this. I feel like I should know this. I want to say yes, even though obviously one's a monkey, one's an ape, whatever, not going there today. Plenty of other people for the DK lore videos. But yeah, it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's like if I, for instance, had an uncle. I do have an uncle sometimes. Uncle, and you know, like if I just had like his initials on a pin, but it's not just the initials. It's like if he was a brand, if he was an intellectual property, I'd put his initials, like his logo, on my hat. Anyway, and you know what? No, it's no, never mind. There's another thing to say about the pin on the hat, but we'll talk about that in a second here. There's other like really subtle differences. Obviously, like this is just a new render, so very, very small changes, you know, like the exact angle of the tip of his tail, you know, like the particular texture on the fur, some very, very slight changes to his shirt, like just like the little like the sleeve part is slightly different. The stars are slightly different. Nothing super duper exciting. I mean, most of this is not super duper exciting. Most of it is very subtle. Really the kind of thing that would happen just by nature of redoing it. You know, like if you're gonna just do it again, it's gonna come out slightly different. You know, the precise dimensions of his tummy, you know, like that kind of thing. The belly button, that's a major one right there. That's a crazy one. His belly button was longer, and now it's more of just like a dot. Wow. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. His toes were kind of more rounded before. And you know what? It's funny looking at that. I feel like that almost feels like it was a holdover from the Super NES days. That's got the kind of like chunky quality that I feel like I remember seeing a lot more in like the old like 3D renders, like original Super NES ones. You know, they didn't have a lot of polygons to work with, even with like the official art. So like their fingers and toes are a little more chunky. I don't know, but whatever the case, they look more just kind of flattened out and like normal monkey-like now. So that's cool, I guess. But now let's get back to some more major changes here. He's got teeth now. You know, there's like very, very slight change to the shaping of his tongue. The coloration of the red. It's a little bit of a deeper, richer red. I like that. Matches his like shirt and hat a little bit more. But yeah, the teeth. And it's funny because there's kind of a history of like cartoon characters getting teeth and people not really liking it. You know, you take any character that did not really have visible teeth before and you give them teeth, Ninja Turtles or whatever, and suddenly it's like weird. So I definitely saw, you know, I'm seeing some people feeling like it's a little strange to give Diddy Kong teeth. At the same time though, monkeys have teeth. I don't know. This may be a little known fact. Monkeys do have teeth, so I don't think I'm against it. If anything, I feel like you could argue that the original version is a little bit more weird because he's just got this like, I don't know what it's not even, it's like a beak. It's like a beak or a bill. It's almost duck-like, you know, he's got this weird toothless kind of like thin, almost like sharp. I feel like it's gonna pinch my finger. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I feel like adding teeth to it kind of makes it feel a little bit more natural, you know. At the same time, the original way was at least more unique, kind of special in its own way. He's a little bit more basic, a little more generic cartoon character-ish now that he's got the teeth. And then really the final main thing to talk about, it's similar. It's the eyes. You know, if you want to say like there's one biggest change, okay, the teeth are already pretty big, but like the eyes have changed, and it's really it's just like what happened with DK. Diddy's original eyes just had a little bit sharper of like I don't know, like the eyebrows, like the middle part where they point down. It pointed down a little bit more sharply. They had a little bit more of like a particular shape to them, giving his eyes something of a kind of a goggly kind of, I don't know, more cartoon character, kind of like Sonic. You know how like his eyes can be like kind of like one big kind of mass. They have basically just been smoothed out. They've been rounded out. They're just a lot more round now, and there's a little bit more of a clear divide between them. So yeah, again, it is very similar to DK, where like DK had like the very particular kind of like eyebrows and the way that it dipped down. It gave his eyes a very unique quality, and now they do look a lot more like generic cartoon. They're just kind of big and bright and round, and that does make them more expressive. Here's the thing about this, about really with both characters. I think the original way was more unique. It was just more, unique. You don't see as many cartoon characters with that particular thing. So in that way, I am, you know, it's a little sad to see it change. Now it is a little bit more generic. It's a little bit more just kind of cartoon character-y. Like, you know, a lot of these designs, they go back decades, and this stuff was designed for these characters, and they were on the Super NES, and so it's kind of like, if you were gonna create these characters fresh today, you would be way more likely to land on something like this new design, and you could argue that that is a little bit sad. But at the same time, it really does fit Nintendo a lot better. You know, like, I know it's more in line with Nintendo's other characters. DK just kind of looks a little bit more cartoony and friendly and lively, in a way that probably just helps him mesh with Mario and his work colleagues a little bit better, you know? And so I don't know, you could go either way. You could argue that that is not necessarily a good thing. You don't have to, we don't like homogenized Mario. We don't like everything to be rounded out and all the unique little details to be smoothed away. And so they all kind of look the same. So I could see being slightly disappointed by this. This version of Diddy is simply less unique now. But at the same time, who cares? Yeah, I kind of go back. I just kind of fall back on the same idea. At the end of the day, it's still a very small difference. It really doesn't matter too much. I'm not going to go into the whole entire philosophy, the whole the idea of change and whether it's good or bad. I don't know. We had the originals for so long that I'm kind of fine with it changing again. It doesn't really matter too much. Maybe I'll miss the original, but I also had the original for a really long time, and I don't know, maybe they'll change it again down the line sometimes. I suppose it's not likely that they're going to go back to the original, but whatever. That's what I wanted to mention earlier when I was talking about the pin. It seems that the Mario movie really did kind of reveal this version of Diddy earlier. I mean, ultimately, the version of Diddy in the Mario movie wasn't completely accurate because the Mario movie had kind of its own style for all of the characters, even Mario. They had much bigger, kind of brighter eyes, and even the Diddy in the Mario movie, really big pupils. His shirt is a little bit more like a sports jersey kind of thing. But they revealed the pin, the change, the on his cap. He didn't have the Nintendo logo. He had a little DK pin, and it's really funny to see that was a very deliberate design choice. Even way back then when they were doing the Mario movie, when they were working on that scene, probably a couple years ago, Nintendo told them, we are changing Diddy Kong, so use these specifications. And I don't know. I think it's fun. I think it's really interesting that it goes back that far. That we had our redesigned Diddy way back then. And it seems that this new version, when I saw that they redesigned Diddy, I completely assumed that meant he was going to be in DK Bonanza. But it seems that is not confirmed. This is just kind of a new version of Diddy that was it was on the Nintendo News app, right? They just kind of did it. They just kind of went hey, look, here's Diddy. here's a new version of Diddy Kong. He looks like this now. I don't know, maybe he still will be in DK Bonanza. I don't know. He looks very good alongside the new DK model. He looks like he fits. It almost, looking at him side by side, it almost looks like this is a reveal for him in DK Bonanza. I don't know. They fit really well together now. So yeah, that's it. Those are the changes. A lot of pretty subtle stuff. A lot of little details where even if you could kind of zoom in and, be disappointed about one detail or another at the same time, I don't know. If it was, like I said, if it was always this way, we would have been fine with it. I wouldn't, if Diddy always looked like this, I wouldn't just be man, I wish that his eyes were angled down a little more sharply. All these years, ever since I was a kid, I played Donkey Kong Country on the Super NES, and I just looked at Diddy, and I feel like his eyes shouldn't be as round. I don't know. I feel like his belly button should be longer. That's my headcanon. Diddy Kong's belly button is an inch longer than it is.